How's it going, everybody? Doing a request here today. It's going to be eating hard candy and rambling. About Silent Hill 2. So there will be spoilers here. They wanted spoilers here, so if you don't want to know anything about Silent Hill 2, and because you've never played it, you probably shouldn't watch this. I don't like to say that, but if you don't want spoilers, this is not the video for you. If you do want spoilers, it is, or if you've already played the game. But yeah. Silent Hill 2. Hell of a game. Arguably the greatest story in a game. And if it's not the best, it's definitely a top 5. It's my personal favorite. Original came out in 01. It was kind of wild at the time, especially when you got certain endings. There was 3 endings you can get. I forget how many secret endings. There was the UFO ending that was a secret ending, and the dog ending, and then there was 3 main ones. I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't know every detail about it all. I do love it so, but some things might be a little wrong here. But it was funny, the way the game acted is you didn't know the game was kind of judging you, or endings were going to come depending on what you did in the game. You had no idea. You're playing this and there's no like, oh, you shouldn't do this, you should do that. No. You get the knife from Angela, and Angela wants the knife. First of all, you're James Sunderland in this game. You come back to Silent Hill. You're in the bathroom at the beginning. You get a note from your dead wife, Mary, to meet her in your special place. James knows she's dead, but look, he's not right now, right? Not a great place, so he goes back. Town's filled in fog. It's not, you're not going to like the resort that he remembers. When he's there with Mary, that's his late wife. First person you meet's Angela. She has her own story. She was raped, sexually abused by her father. Her mother didn't do anything about it. Her brother's there. I think in like expanded books or something, like the brother also did stuff to her, but that's not touched upon in the game. But she's looking for her father, her family in Silent Hill. Silent Hill brings you there, right? She's there, Eddie's there, James is there, Laura's there. I'll get into them more. But she has the knife in the beginning. You don't know. She doesn't have the knife there. She has the knife in the second cutscene. You see her. You talk to her there. She's like, I thought my dad was here, whatever. And then she says, you don't know a little about the characters and what they're there for. You meet up with Eddie first. And Eddie's like, some of this was taken out. This dialogue was taken out of the remake. Because James is like, did you see a red pyramid thing? And he's like, no. That was kind of a cheesy line. And he's like, no. He's like, I've seen some stuff, but not that. So every person who's there, Angela, James, Eddie, are all there for their own reasons, right? They were drawn to this town for reasons. And they're all seeing different things, so they don't see what each other sees. Laura's there. And Laura's not there because she did anything messed up. Or she has, she's tragic past or whatever. So she'll be like, monsters, what are you talking about? Like, she's not seeing any of that. She's just going through the town looking for Mary as well. She's connected to Mary as well. You first meet Eddie. He's in the bathroom puking, and there's a dead body in the room. And you find out with Eddie that he killed the dog at one point. Then he killed somebody else. And throughout the game, which is expanded upon more in the remake, like he's pretty much killing the same person over and over in the town. He says it. He's like, I killed you already. What? But he's there for that, and he's kind of lost it. He's gotten picked on. He's like, oh, you tell me I'm fat and all this stuff. He goes through all this stuff. And James is kind of normal towards him, but he's kind of like, okay. Eventually, you fight Eddie. Now, Pyramid, all these things are manifesting out of their minds, right? Maria's there as well. Maria is born from a wish. That's a DLC that was released in the Xbox version and in the greatest hits version of the PS2 one, I believe. That's Maria's thing. Maria kind of just appears because she's born from like James's wish. She looks like Mary, but acts completely different. Looks very similar though. But like I was saying, you get different endings based on what you do. The leave ending is the best one. I'm going to be all over the place here, that's normal. The leave ending is the best ending to get. That's when you leave with Laura. And Mary got sick. And James had to deal with it. I'm going like right towards the end here. And he couldn't handle it anymore. So the sexy nurses are kind of there. The bubblehead nurses are there. They're kind of all gross, but they're in a sexy way because James would look at these nurses and kind of lust after certain things. Because his wife was breaking down. She was sick. She was dying. Here's the big spoiler. Pyramid Head's there because he killed his wife. He finds this out at the end of the game. It's like he almost just buried it, right? And he's like, Pyramid Head's like the executioner. And when you fight Eddie and you kill Eddie, a second one appears in the fight where you fight the two of them. There's now two. And Pyramid Head kills Maria. And, I think does she get killed 3 times? Yes, I think. Once when you're running out of the hospital, he kills her. Kind of like Mary dying, and it's almost like the Pyramid Head is James killing her. And then again, when she's in the cell, you find her dead. And then the 2 Pyramid Heads kill her again. In that last Pyramid Head fight. And then he comes to grips with it, but he's kind of done. Because at this point, he already knows what he did. Right? Yes. I said, I'm already kidding. He already knows. He saw the tape because he's trying to find a tape. He finds the tape. He sees the memories and the flashbacks of what he did with Mary and how things went. So he comes to grips with it. You fight him again. He's like, I don't need you anymore. And then they kill themselves at the end of the fight. But everything's there for a reason, you know. Same thing with it's more like, I think it's more implied, or maybe it is in the first one as well. With Eddie, he keeps breathing cold air. Like his Silent Hill is freezing. Angela's is hot as hell. You know, and they're seeing different things. There's a part with Angela, her last cutscene, which is really, even in both versions, it's kind of an emotional one where she's going up the stairs. She thinks James is her mama. She's like, my mama. It's not. She wants the knife back. He's like, no, because she wants the knife. I'm all over the place. She gives him the knife at some point because she's like, I don't know what I might do with it in the apartments. If you look at the knife too much and other things, that will lead you towards and if you heal too much or help Maria when she's getting attacked by a monster, or you don't help her, or you visit her in the hospital, or you don't. These play into endings. You look at certain things too much, do certain things. You look at the in-water ending. You're looking at the knife too much. You're looking at pictures of Mary, the letter, the handkerchief. That leads into... And that's the one I got, which was weird because I feel like I didn't do all that, so I don't know if some of the criteria might have changed a little bit. I forget how you get leave Maria. If you don't look after Maria and you don't visit her and stuff more, and you don't heal as much, or you don't heal enough, I think you get to leave one. I forget all of them, but you didn't know this was happening in the original. Well, you wouldn't know now either if you never played the original. Because it just happens based on different things, which at the time, if you think about it, it's kind of crazy. Like, holy shit. This game's kind of judging you without you even knowing it, and it's leading into an ending. And all the endings at least make sense. I'm not talking about the dog ending and the UFO ending, which are the goofy endings where you restart. You got to get certain items and stuff like that when you start a new game. But anyway, when you're on the stairwell in the hotel, you see Angela, everything's burning around her. And she gets into a thing with James. Oh, you think you can help me, James? You're gonna love me and all this stuff. And James, she's gonna go after him, probably to kill herself finally, right? Because she's probably the most tragic character in the game, and most of gaming in general. She's sexually abused by her dad, raped, everything else. Mom didn't do anything about it. She thought it was always her fault, and then she killed the dad, and then she ends up in Silent Hill. But she's blaming herself, even though she shouldn't be and stuff. And some people theorize that maybe the town kind of drew her there to kind of come to grips with it and kind of free herself in a way, right? Like, but James is like, it's hot as hell in here. And Angela's like, oh, you see it too. He doesn't see it, he feels it. But she says, do you see it too? It's like this always. It's always like this for me. And she goes upstairs. I just let you see her. And then Maria, like at the end of the boss fight, Maria's like kind of disguised as Mary. And you take her out. And you see Laura a few times. Laura gets pissed at you. So he says like it's been 3 years. And Laura's like, oh, I remember Mary from the hospital, and that was a year ago. And James is like, bullshit. She's very she doesn't like James at first. He's a bit of a dick. And so it's like the timelines. This happened a lot sooner than James thinks it did in his mind, or but he's told himself. But if you get the good ending, you leave with Laura. And the Maria ending is you leaving with Maria at the end, and she starts coughing. She's telling you that the same thing's going to happen to Maria that happened to Mary. She's going to get sick. And she's going to die. You can go through this again. And some people also theorize, especially in the new one, how, I think in the original as well, but in the new one, how like certain things, you don't do them the way they happened in the original puzzles, or certain things happen differently. Like this has happened before. Like James is stuck in like a purgatory loop. All the characters kind of are. And you get backstory about the town. Like Walter Sullivan and the 2 kids he murdered, right? That's Walter Sullivan, right? Silent Hill's had a lot of messed up stuff. That also plays into the original in 3 that involves the cult and stuff they did, how the kind of town is the way it is. And then 4 is outside of the town, but you go to it. Originally, it was 4 was supposed to be something else, and then they made it Silent Hill. That's a room where you're trapped in your apartment, and you gotta leave through like a portal in the bathroom. You go to different places. That involves Walter Sullivan as well, though, which is cool. A good story in that one. That's my second favorite. Out of the first 4, well, out of all of them, the first 4 are always going to be in the top 4. The second one's my favorite. I thought Downpour was solid. I didn't like Homecoming. I like of course, Homecoming had Pyramid Head, even though technically he shouldn't be there. That's a manifestation of kind of James's shit. But it's like $3.99 till November 2nd on Xbox Store. I'm tempted to get it again. The real problem I had with that one was there's too much combat, and the combat sucked. It was a different vibe, though, than the other ones. Maybe I'll get it in $4. Maybe I'll get it. Who knows? Origins on the PSP. I played it on the PSP. It came to PS2 as well. I like that one. That's a prequel to the original. And then there's Shattered Memories. That's like a remake of sorts, of a reimagining of the original one. See, that one has you doing like psychologist type stuff. You're like talking to a psychiatrist or whatever. And that has check marks where it's like telling you things instead of like at Silent Hill 2. You were just doing shit and you didn't even know you were being judged, which is awesome. But 2 has, it mentions things of other things that have happened in history of the prison and stuff, and outbreaks and the bodies under the lake and all this stuff, right? None of it good. This town has a history. But 2 is kind of a standalone, so is 4. It is a standalone 4. It's except the town. It's pretty much the town's not actually doing anything. You come to the town. The town's like, I don't know if it's we call it the catalyst, and you're just the one who's like, oh, your mind is gonna inhabit this town with all this shit. The town will draw you there, but it's up to you to make it the nightmare or not. And people are trying to come to grips with things or realize what they've done or whatever, make amends, whatever it may be. But I always love the story. It's very like Jacob's Ladder, Twin Peaks type stuff. It's borrowed from other things. Definitely inspirations there, for sure. But even for a video game at the time, I mean, the first one has a solid story. That was all the cold stuff and whatnot. But the second one was it's just, oh man. Well, the Silent Hills in general have solid stories, especially the first four, compared to like other survival horror. Even if like that shit creeps me out, I feel like the stories are more deeper. The Resident Evil stories like all over the map. Resident Evil to me, what I enjoy the stories enough, even though they get batshit wild. It's very kind of Metal Gear-esque. It's all over the place. Silent Hill's more of a kind of straightforward, especially the second one. Straightforward. It's got a bunch of different themes in there. It's creepy as hell, the atmosphere's great, It feels like an experience. Like you experience the game when you're done. You're like, oh my god. It's not like, oh yeah. Like I'll be like, I can't wait to keep playing. I'm like, oh god, I gotta keep playing. But you want to keep playing because you invest in the characters and the story. But it's a fantastic game. I think, like I said, I miss stuff with this stuff. I love the game. It's my favorite, but I'm not like, I'll forget about things, some of them, and I'm not like an uber nerd towards it, where I remember like little signs and where placements were, which I appreciate that when people love stuff. I love it, but I'm more about the story and stuff, and kind of the background of the town and whatnot. And there's like, people like you see dead bodies throughout the game, especially the one that Eddie did kill that's in the fridge, and other bodies you see are like James's character model and stuff. Everything's there, based on his, manifesting from his mind. But it really is a fantastic game, though. And that's why I said it's all the endings, Maria, Leave, and In Water, all make sense at least, right? You could see James just saying, I'm going to end it. I came to grips with it. It's just been too much for me. Or he leaves with Maria. He sees Mary again, different version, but he's accepted this. I want this. This makes me feel better. And he leaves, and he's going to play through it again. Or when you leave with Laura, it's like, okay, finally, he's come to grips with it. He's at peace with himself now. Because Mary reads the letter at the end of every one. Tells him, you made me happy and all this stuff. Her character, I think they changed some of the letter in the remake. So she comes off a little more, I think, at peace with her dying and stuff than she did in the original. Which could have been better in the original. Like I said, there's things better than the original, obviously. But I think the remake did some things better as well. So it's kind of like all the those endings make sense. To where yeah, of course. Like, I understand, why these things happened or whatever. And then there's the UFO ending, if you watch on YouTube. The first one had a UFO ending. The third one has a UFO ending as well. That's called Revenge, though, I think. Where Heather comes back, and the aliens in the house with James is there too. Why can't I remember? Harry? I think that's the guy from the original one. He's there, and Heather's like, oh, I went to Silent Hill, and they kind of like treated me like shit, and the aliens. Harry's like, I'm going to give them a piece of my mind, and then you see the UFOs obliterate the town. The first one, Harry gets grabbed by aliens. The second one, James gets taken by the aliens, and Harry's there as well. The dog one in Silent Hill 2 is James stumbles into this control room, and I think it's a Shiba. Is it a Shiba Inu? I don't. Is that dog is at the controls with the headset. That the dog's been controlling everything in the game, and he's like, "It was you the whole time." And the dog licks him. And it's funny when you go through the credits, the dog is there. You know, just a kind of a picture of the dog, and they show him pictures of the characters. I think James is dancing at one point, but it shows Eddie, and the dog's like, because of what he did. But fantastic game. You know, check it out. If you've been spoiled, if you wanted to be spoiled, great. You can find other channels where talk about spoilers from the whole series that would do a better job than me, but I think I did all right there. But yeah, this is a request for a hard candy ramble, which sounds two spoilers, but thanks for checking this out, and have a good day.